and we look out in the opening, and it's full of Japanese. The Japanese plane was coming down, and it's strafing the beach. Hello, my name is Stuart Rothwell McDonald. I was in the Marine Corps from 1941 through 1946. We landed on Bougainville November 1st, 1943. And that Bougainville is the tip of the other end of the Solomon Islands. The Solomon Islands was one long chain of islands for about 1,000 miles. Guadalcanal's on one end, Bougainville is on the other end. And the reason we wanted to go into Bougainville was the fact that Bougainville was close to Ribol. And Ribol was a huge Japanese base. And we thought perhaps if we could get an airfield on Bougainville, then we could attack Ribol. And we landed, as I said earlier, we landed November 1st, 1943. The landing was, wasn't that difficult at first. Bougainville was just absolutely jungle, complete jungle. Everywhere you went, you had to hack your way through. And not only that, the weather was miserable. It was raining and just absolutely miserable. Your clothes were on you for 30 days. You couldn't do anything with them. It was just awful. But anyway, I was attached to, I was no longer in the Fire Direction Center. I was now a forward observer with the 3rd Division. And so I was traveling with the infantry. And one of the things I remember distinctly, we were traveling with a squad ahead of the infantry. The lieutenant that was in charge said, McDonald, you stay here and don't move. And the rest of us, there was a party of about 6 or 7 of us. And he said, you stay right here. And when the infantry moves up to where we are, then you follow us up, and you can tell by what we've cut through here. Well, I mentioned earlier that fact is that you want to stand out in the jungle where you can't see your hand in front of you, and you don't know, all you can do is hear noises, and you know there's Japs everywhere, but you don't know where, and you're scared to death that you're all alone. And it was a long time. It wasn't really a long time, but to me it was a long time. Probably it was an hour or so I did that. And finally, some squad came up from the infantry on the 3rd Division, and I told them that we were supposed to move forward and follow them up there, follow the infantry up there. And they said, okay. And they did that. And so then we all moved up forward with the infantry. And we did run into in fact, it was rather funny. We were moving up ahead in front of the infantry. And lo and behold, if we didn't come into a little opening, and we look out in the opening, and it's full of Japanese, and they were all in sort of like a chow line or whatever it is. They were in line. And I still remember the guy, he was from Memphis, Tennessee, and Mo something was his name. And all I can hear him saying, once we saw those Japs all out there, and they saw us, and there was only 8 of us, and he said, without hesitation, his exact words was, haul ass. And that's exactly what we did. When you're talking about Marines not retreating, nobody could beat us there. And we were tripping over ourselves trying to, with the jungle and Japs and everything else. But we got back to the safety of the 3rd Division and their infantry division. So, and that was one of the highlights, if you want to call it a highlight. You ask about seeing Japanese. We saw plenty of Japanese, and we couldn't get away fast enough. Oh, as we retreated, of course, the Japanese were chasing, and they were firing at the same time. And we were just, as that fellow said, we were getting out of there as fast as we could. There was only, I think, 7 or 8 of us, and we weren't about to take on the Japanese we didn't know if it was a company or what it was. Now, when I say it's jungle, I meant when I said you couldn't see anything. You just you had to hack your way, just like this, just like it. You had to hack your way through it. So anyway, we got back a couple of days later. We were back on the lines, and we kept our provisions on a small island off of the mainland of Bougainville, a little small island. And so I was with my friend, we called him Honest John Barron. I called him Honest John because he was a street kid out of Cleveland. And if you didn't watch him, he'd take your eyeballs out and you wouldn't know it. But he was a good man for us because when we needed anything, he knew how to get it. So anyway, we were going over to this small island to pick up some provisions for this where we were stationed and who we were with, and we got halfway out, and all of a sudden an air raid warning went off. Zoom, 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 zoom. And we said, "Oh my God!" And we were on a boat. We were on a Higgins boat, and the coxswain of the Higgins boat, who of course was a Navy person, he directed the boat immediately under the island, that small island, and we jumped out of the boat, and we dove, and the Japanese plane was coming down, and it strafing the beach, coming down and strafing it. And the only thing we could do was dive, and we dove under this big log. It was a big old log that was on we dove under it, all of us, 3 of us. And I used to say to the kids, "What do you think was under that log?" And they'd all say snakes, and they'd say this and that, the other thing. I'd say, no, they were all red ants. It was just absolutely loaded with red ants. And we couldn't. And I don't know if to this day, the Japanese came in real low. I could see the pilot. He came in that low. You could see him. And he looked like he was laughing, but he wasn't. It was just imagination. But he came down. And again, why he didn't turn around, come back, and take another shot, I don't know. He strafed that one time. We were on the beach, and we got under the log when he was strafing, and he took off. And we couldn't wait to get out, jump out of underneath that log and just go into the water, rifle and everything, because ants were everything. They're over the rifle, over the cows, and they all bite, these red ants.